Here are 3 tips that we're gonna touch in this video, and those 3 tips will increase and multiply the speed of your language learning, no matter what language it is. For those of you who are new to my channel, I am Sufi, 16 years old. I will be 17 in a month, and I'm currently fluent in Farsi, means Persian, and Tajiki. Now I'm learning 4 other languages: English, Arabic, Turkish, and Russian. I started learning English last year, and before English I did know some Arabic and Turkish, but just little. And I wish I know these tips so I could learn English faster. Tip number 1, listening. The first and the most important thing in learning a language is listening, but not just any listening. You cannot listen to advanced and incomprehensible content. This was one of my mistakes in the language learning process. So what kind of a content should we listen to? In order to get fluent in any language and accelerate your process of learning, you need a understandable, repetitive content. So what does that mean? If you're not understand anything, you'll learn nothing. This is what I did, and I was just playing a part of a movie or a podcast that I didn't understand anything, and it was so fast and for advanced level. And at the end of the day, I learned nothing. I could just barely understand, and with a lot of concentration, I could realize some words and some sentences. So it was like wasting my time. Because if I spend that time listening to understandable and repetitive content instead of those difficult and fast material, maybe I could learn faster and start speaking earlier. So the best listening is easy and understandable material. Things like a movie, things like a difficult and too fast material will cause you to slow down. But if you're at high level, like C1 and C2, I think it's no problem with watching TV show and movies and things like this. But if you're at intermediate level or maybe lower than that, or even at C1 level, you need a specific way of learning through movies. I will definitely make a video about how I improved my language by watching movies, cartoons, and animations. The second part is repetition. This is what I found very, very useful. By repetition means a lot amount of repetition, as much as you memorize all of that video or that podcast. Imagine you hear a structure, a new structure, or it can be also a new word once. If you hear it once, you'll be soon forget it. If you listen to it 10 times, you'll still forget it. But by, for example, 50 times listening to that same content, same new words, and same grammar rules, no, I'm not talking about grammar rules because I've never studied it. Yeah, just by listening to the same content again and again and again, you're gonna learn it and automatically use it when you're speaking. The tip number 2 is actually up to you, and it comes back to what is your goal in learning the language. Since my goal in learning English was just understanding, like I just wanted to understand videos, books, and the materials in English, so I started improving my vocabulary. I wanted to have a bunch amount of a vocab so that I can understand videos in YouTube, but as time went by, my opinion changed and I wanted to work on my speaking as well. All I want to say is this, that here's all the words that you know. And here is the words that you use for your speaking or when you speak. So if your goal of learning language is to communicate, you need to improve this one. Learning vocabularies and words that are mostly used in communication. And in order to be able to understand books, audiobooks, and movies, you need to focus on this one. But here's the point. We can use most of the words here in this circle too, but because we didn't use them or because they were a little difficult to pronounce, we used other synonyms and words instead. So these words are in a passive form. Now let me show you what I do for converting them from passive to active form. Whenever I'm reviewing my vocabulary in Anki, I come across some words that I don't use at all or I use less. So I take a piece of a paper or a notebook and quickly write down those words. For example, I should use word accelerate instead of speed up, because I know this word means accelerate, but I'm using it rarely. Also, sometimes when I'm speaking, let me add here something that most of the time I'm speaking with myself. I'll record my voice and listen to it once to see what other words I can use instead of the words that I've used. I will write them down, then I record my voice again and use those words, or maybe I'm not recording the second time. The same technique I use for learning new structures. For example, the structures of literary sentences that make your speech sounds more beautiful, proverbs, and idioms. Other tip is consistency. Do less, but do it always, and do it with 100% focus, because quality is much more important than quantity. If you say that you're so busy and you have no time, it's okay. Just allocate 30 minutes in a day for your language and study every day that 30 minutes. Believe me, you'll see more progress by studying 30 minutes per day regular than irregular study. So this was the last tip, and that's it. But the next video is going to be about how I learn the language through movies and how I'm learning actually language through movies, which actually I learned this method from Mr. AJ Hogue, who I think most of you are familiar with. And this method was great. It was extremely effective. So from now, I invite you to watch that video, like my next video, I mean. Hit the subscribe button and turn on the bell so you don't miss the next video. Have a good job. Bye bye.